Hi everyone, welcome back to another session on evolution. In this presentation, we will be discussing on the different types of fossils. So we have already seen that fossils are the remains or traces of the life from the ancient past, and the fossils usually reflects light on the process of evolution, or they show which group of organisms have given rise to the which group of other organisms, and what kind of speciation has happened, and what are the reasons why these organisms got extinct from the earth surface. So all these could be learned from the fossils obtained from the deeper parts of the earth. Okay, now what are the different types of fossils? The um, there are three major types of fossils as recognized, and they are actual organic remains, petrified fossils, and natural molds. Okay, so here you can see the molds. Okay, and molds and casts actually. So here we can divide it into three: the actual organic remains, petrified fossils, and casts and molds. So it's a method of formation is known as the fossilization. How the particular fossil is formed is what is referred as the fossilization. Now, if you look into in detail each one, the actual organic remains. So here what happens, the entire organisms become extinct, or original hard parts such as um, bones, teeth, shells, etc. They get preserved in natural preservatives. So some specimens are preserved relatively unchanged from their original condition. So it could be the complete specimen, or it could be parts of the body. Okay, it could be teeth, bones, shells. Occasionally are found intact, buried in the deeper sediments. Even more dramatically, remains of organisms have been frozen in Arctic ice fields. So there could be several such natural preservatives which could keep the specimen intact. Okay, it could be ice, asphaltic oil, oil-soaked ground, amber, molten lava. Uh, this is lava. Okay, salt water and desert. So ice forms a good preservative. For example, several well-preserved specimens of the woolly mammoth. I hope you know what's a mammoth. Mammoths are extinct uh, forms related to the present-day elephants. Okay, so these woolly mammoth, the complete specimens are well preserved that lived some 20,000 years ago. These have been obtained intact from the frozen ice of Siberia. The mammoth is believed to be the hairy relative of modern elephants. I hope you are already familiar with the figures and all which you have studied earlier in your lower classes. So even its flesh is so well preserved that it was eaten as steaks by local people over there. Okay, so intact it was preserved. Then asphaltic oil found in tar pits and asphalt lakes in various parts of the world is another natural preservative. And the famous tar pits of uh, like Rancho La Brea in Los Angeles, in Southern California, trapped a great many animals and preserved their bones, because most of the bacteria that cause decay cannot live in asphalt. Thus, the complete skeletons of the saber-toothed tiger and other extinct mammals and birds have been preserved in the asphaltic oil. In Poland, two skeletons of woolly rhinoceros, with some of their flesh and skin preserved, have been found buried in oil-soaked ground. Okay, so similarly, complete skeletons of over 20 dinosaurs belonging to the Jurassic period extending about 150 million years ago, have been excavated from the famous dinosaur beds in Utah, USA. So again, that is also oil-soaked ground that have preserved the specimens intact. The amber. So what is amber? Amber is actually the gum-like exudation from prehistoric trees. It is another means of preservation. About 100 species of insects, spiders and mites, have been obtained intact and completely preserved in it. Those who have watched the movie Jurassic Park, there it was a mosquito trapped inside the amber actually that provided the necessary what you call like genetic material for the recreation of dinosaurs, isn't it? So that is the amber preserving various kinds of specimens from the past. Then molten lava. It is not larva, it is lava. Spelling mistake. Okay. Molten lava flowing out due to volcanic eruption also help in preserving fossils intact. Several human beings and animals were preserved intact in the ancient city of Pompeii due to the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. So Vesuvius erupted, and the lava it completely covered the city of Pompeii. Okay, it was completely the whatever living organisms were there, they were completely preserved as such in the lava. Then we have the salt water that prevents decay in the oceans, and the soft parts are destroyed by decay, and hard parts are covered by sediments, which later hardens to form the definite layers of strata. So that can also provide picture about the fossils. Then, in the desert conditions, fossilization may take place because of the desert winds and dust storms. Hot, dry wind will dehydrate the dead bodies quickly and are preserved in the form of mummies. Sometimes dead bodies are covered by thick layers of dust blown out by wind. So, actual organic remains are the ideal fossils. But because of their great scarcity and recent origin, they are less important when compared to the petrified fossils. So, usually, these fossils obtained from majority of these preservatives usually will be resin. So it is not going to be of much help in the study of evolution. So the next group is the petrified fossils. So in some cases, the original portion or parts of the animal body may become replaced by mineral matter, and this method of mineralization is known as petrification, or it is otherwise referred as permineralization. So here what happens is the mineral matter it replaces the actual parts of the animal body. Okay, so petrification is an extremely gradual replacement of the original parts. So it is actually molecule by molecule, mineral, like each part by part, it is getting replaced by minerals. The resultant fossils thus obtained or thus retained not only gives the external form but also certain internal characters of the original structures. A well-known example of petrification is offered by the petrified forests of Yellowstone National Park and the Arizona Painted Desert of the USA. So these two are best examples for petrified fossils. A huge remain petrified fossils are obtained in this way. Usually, woody tissues and hard parts of animals such as bones, teeth, shells, etc., are preserved by way of petrification, and the original soft parts being lost by decomposition or disintegration. But sometimes soft parts are also preserved by this process so that even the fine features of cells can be made out of thin sections. For example, undamaged petrified fossils of invertebrates have been recovered intact from the limestone deposits in the Glass Mountains of Texas, USA. There are different types of minerals involved in the formation of petrified fossils, and the chief among them are silica. When it is involved, we call it as a silicification. So, silicification is a type of petrification where silica particles replace the parts of the body or living organisms. Okay, then we have the iron pyrites. So, iron pyrites, when it is involved, it is known as pyritization. Calcium carbonate and double carbonates of calcium, then magnesium, etc. So if the original material gets replaced by silica, the process of petrification is known as silicification. Okay, and many fossil sponges are of this type. It is silicified. Okay, then we have, if the iron pyrites are used for mineralization, the process is known as pyritization. Okay, I hope you remember the iron pyrites which you had studied in your school days. Okay, pyritization. Fossils obtained from the coal beds at many places, such as that of the Tully limestone in New York, are fossils of the pyritized time. Then another method of fossilization in which carbon compounds are used is known as carbonization. Okay. Here, the name itself says it is carbonized, isn't it? For example, chitinous skeletal parts of insects. Okay, if carbonization occurs in the medullary cavities of the bones, it is known as induration. So, induration is actually a type of carbonization which happens um, in the medullary cavities of the bone specifically. Okay, then we have the dolmatization where the organic material is replaced by double carbonates of calcium and magnesium. Okay, and this occurs in the seafloor. So that is the dolmatization is a type of petrification which happens in the deeper layers of the seas or oceans, where the carbonates of calcium and magnesium, it replaces the different parts of the body. Okay, then we have the casts and molds, the natural molds and casts. It's a group of fossils where it is formed by the hardening of the surrounding materials in which the organism was buried. Okay, so here it will be a little more clear with the picture. So here you have the amber and the ant like trapped inside the amber. Okay, it is from like 50 million years ago. And this is another one, silicified. It is again from the deeper layers of oceans and seas. We already saw that silicification and dolmatization usually happens in the deeper layers of the seas and oceans, isn't it? So here it is from the deeper layers of seas and oceans. It is a sclerobiont. Sclerobiont means the living organisms which are attached to certain rocky parts. Okay, so it is completely getting silicified altogether. Okay, it is from the Permian period. Then you can see the pyritized ammonite. What is pyritization? It is actually petrification wherein iron pyrites are getting I mean iron pyrites replaces the different parts of the body. Okay, so that is the pyritized ammonite. Ammonite means this is a group of organism ammonite. Okay, so this is the cast fossil. Okay, it is from the you can see upper the Homo sapiens, the late Homo sapiens. It is a cast. Okay, then here this is what we were discussing about, that is the surrounding material, that is the material surrounding the actual organism, it gets hardened. Okay, so this is, you can see this is uh, the actual organism is not seen over here, but the organism was present here, uh, because you can see the various even the what you call the markings on the shell, it is very clearly have provided an impression on the surrounding material, isn't it? So this is kind of a thing is known as the uh, I mean, this is how the moles and casts are formed. Okay, so we were discussing about the casts and moles, and we saw that it is usually they are formed by the hardening of the surrounding material in which the organism was buried. The original substance decays and disappears, leaving a cavity which retains only the size and the form of the original, but it does not preserve the internal material nor the minute structure. Many fossils obtained from the ancient city of Pompeii are preserved by this method. By the study of such molds, we have been able to understand the shape and venation of prehistoric leaves, feathers of extinct birds, wing membranes of insects, skin surface of dinosaurs, etc. The mold of the footprint of the extinct amphibian Thenopus antiquus has provided valuable information about its skeleton and digital structure. Okay, so occasionally the cavities of the mold may become filled with infiltrating hard minerals. So there is a mold, okay, that is known as a mold. Okay, fine. So the cavities of the mold, it becomes filled with the minerals from the surrounding environment. Okay, so this result in the formation of fossils known as casts. So in this way, even soft bodies of jellyfishes have been preserved in rocks. Similarly, the interior cavities of shells or the brain chamber of the vertebrate skull may be filled with the hardening materials, so that a perfect cast of the form and size of the vanished soft parts may be preserved very neatly. Okay, so here the original parts are not preserved in casts. So that is what we have seen in the case of the cast of the human skeleton, human skull. Okay, so these are the petrified wood and the mineralized dragonfly from the past.